Welcome along to the two-man wall with Johnny Ward and Adam Russell. We've lots to get through on the show today. We've the Trader Challenge and we have a chat about Liverpool and we have a chat about the football to come. But Adam, just before we came on air, we were like, the football last night in the Champions League was actually the first kind of proper lockdown football that we've enjoyed in a while. There was no crowd or whatever at the games, but there was a lot of drama, a lot of goals, a lot of very good football. Haaland having a bit of a spat with the goalkeeper. There was so much going on, and you'd almost forget that we're in lockdown for a couple of lovely hours.
Yeah, it seems to be like the consensus across the board that last night's games were amongst the most enjoyable of this lockdown football period, because we've criticised that in the past that like some of the lockdown games haven't been quite as interesting as maybe they could have been. And I think last night, just to see, they were two very different games, but they both shaped up really nicely in extra time, obviously in Juve, and like you say, Haaland giving the keeper a bit, but that 5-minute spell where the penalty decision was turned down and then they scored and then that was disallowed to give the penalty. And then they missed the penalty and they had to retake the penalty. Crazy, man.
Crazy stuff. Manchester City are 9-4 now outright, with Bayern 3-1 and Dortmund 16's a team who do seem very, very reliant on Haaland. He's quite a specimen, this guy, isn't he? He's kind of strange. Like he has a bit of a he doesn't have the most graceful maybe kind of way of going about the pitch, but he's so direct and strong and bulldozed his way for that goal that was ultimately disallowed. And he's only a kid as well.
Yeah, he's a hammer, really, isn't he? He's just like a blunt object. He's, I think, don't underestimate his technical ability. I think he'll get better in that regard. I think when Dortmund looked the most threatening last night was when they were a bit more direct into his feet and just allow him to bring the ball down. And he's so strong for his age and for anyone's age, really. He just shrugs off defenders and he brings in the wide players in the counter-attack really well. And I think, obviously, he makes those wide players better as well. So
if we just stick on the Champions League, actually, Adam, while we're talking about it, he's 8-11 to be the top scorer. Now, Star Sports has actually very enticing each way terms here. It's a quarter of the odds, 3 places. So those Liverpool fans out there, worried as they are at the moment, can back Salah, for example, at 20-1, and Liverpool are 7s for the Champions League. But Adam, what is going on here? We spoke about this last week. We were fairly sweet on Chelsea doing the job, which they did. But that was a bad performance. But Fulham was no better, and we now have a situation where Klopp is 4-1 to be the next manager to go. What has happened?
It's just it's beyond belief, isn't it? Like it's gone beyond a blip now, hasn't it? It's getting to that point where it's like 6 home games in a row. We're talking about something that Liverpool have never done in their top flight history. And like, what money would you have got at the start of the season for Liverpool to lose 6 consecutive home games this season in a run that's included Burnley, Brighton, Fulham, etc.? It's beyond belief. And obviously they've struggled with injuries, but there's only so much of an excuse that you can make for that. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like Klopp's job is in danger from a sacking perspective. It's just, if it goes on, it'll come to a head if it goes on. Like, he may walk, he may feel that the run they're on is that bad, that he decides to walk rather than...
I tend to agree with you. I think if he were to leave, it will be an almost like an inner implosion or a selfless thing to do, to say, I can't actually rescue this, because I get no kind of feeling that Liverpool would sack him or whatever, like, and it would be a ludicrous thing to do. But he does have the air of a mystified man at the end of these games. I think his comment after the Fulham game was like, basically, he's gone from conceding the title to saying that they're in a battle to finish the top 4 to now saying we just want to win a game. And in fact, scoring a goal might even be something. Where has it all gone wrong for Mane, Firmino, and even Salah's been in the headlines? Salah's actually had a good season. And I just can't get my head around it. I know Van Dijk was a massive loss and all that, but a lot of things have hit them constantly throughout the season. But after that Palace game when they won 7-0, the wheels have completely come off.
Yeah, it almost feels like, it's not an expression that I like in football, but it's almost like they're on the beach in some regards already. And it's like, I think it's like you say, it's more of an accumulation of multiple factors rather than say one. It's not Van Dijk, it's not Gomez, it's not the injury situation overall. It's like you say, the front three are out of form. Firmino doesn't even look like he wants to score a goal. He doesn't shoot. Like I've seen him get into so many positions where you just want your number 9 to be a bit selfish and say, I'm going to shoot. And if I miss, whatever. Like, but Firmino, he's always trying to put it on a plate for someone else. I think Salah's looked disinterested at times. He obviously got pulled after 60 minutes, 1-0 down against Fulham. And it was very reminiscent of, you remember when Benitez was coming towards the end of his time there, and I think they were away at Fulham and they were 1-0 down, and he took Fernando Torres off after 60 minutes. And you remember Gerrard's expression as he walked past to leave the pitch was just like, what's going on? And it was a bit similar to that with Salah. So I do wonder if there's some discontent rumbling under the surface there. One thing I would say, in not necessarily in Klopp's defence, but just as something to bear in mind, is a similar point last season, Man City had fallen off quite considerably.
And they rebuilt.
And even to some extent, the start of this season. And now look at them. They didn't pull. There was no talk of let's get rid of Pep and bring, because they could have brought anyone in. It's Man City, so there was no talk of let's get rid of him. It was, we back Pep and we'll give him the opportunity to rebuild the squad if necessary, or that we back his method, that in the long run that it will work. I just wonder though, obviously you saw yesterday that the Germany job will be available.
He's ruled that out.
He's ruled it out, but if things go on this way at Liverpool, like you say, it become a more tempting proposition to him. If it's a case of he's got 6 games at the start of next season to save his Liverpool career, he might say, well, in that case, I'll go to Germany. But like you say, 7-2 to finish in the top 4 now, when you would have scoffed at that price for them to win the league a few months ago. So it's been some collapse now, 4-9 even just to finish in the top 6. So.
Yeah, that's. I was actually wondering about that as well. Like, will they want Europa League football next season if it comes to that? Which it might well. You were very sweet on Chelsea at 9-2 to win. Now we did call the Man United game wrong, and I've kind of I don't know where I was saying this. Is like, does De Bruyne walk back straight into that City team? De Bruyne is back in the team, and they lose, and they actually didn't play that well on Sunday. I didn't see this game, I have to say. But obviously Man United scored early, but they kind of gave a bit of a signal of intent that they're still a very good side in these kind of 90-minute games where they can kind of sit back and hit teams in the counter.
Yeah, and I think they've got a really good record actually against Man City and against Pep, particularly against Pep's Man City. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the only manager in football to have beaten Pep more times than Pep's beaten him, which is pretty incredible, really, considering what a kind of tactical master Pep is in these games and the way he tries to deconstruct his opposition tactically. So it was an impressive performance. They were on it from minute 1. I thought the person who impressed me the most and was quite surprising was Anthony Martial. Probably the best game I've seen from him this season. Like, he obviously didn't get on the score sheet, but he did everything else. His hold-up play was brilliant. He was strong. Every time he got the ball, he tried to make something happen. He tried to run into some space, or he tried to beat a man, or he tried to get a shot away. And I think sometimes that's what we've not seen from Martial often enough is the hunger and the desire to do some of the dirtier work that's involved in being a number 9 for a club like Man United. So yeah, he impressed me a lot. It was
Luke Shaw is a terrific player as well. He's just had such a good season. Every time I've played, he's been one of the most impressive players, and it was a fantastic goal that they got. If we just move on to the 9-1 of the quadruple, which we spoke about with Luke Tara last week, obviously it kind of does look a little bit more suspect after that, but I still think this is a lovely interest bet for somebody to have.
Yeah, I don't think it looks any more suspect because of the weekend's performance. I think, a good team can lose, and that's lose to another good team. I think United are a good team on the counter-attack. So it doesn't. I think 9-1 is still a really interesting price, considering they're already in the League Cup final and they're doing well in the FA Cup and they're in the knockouts of the Champions League, and the titles give it 6 weeks and they'll have won the league.
Yeah,
So
I like it as an interest bet. You've one on your notes here as well. Brighton 7-2 to go down. I actually backed Leicester to beat Brighton at the weekend because I thought I couldn't really get my head around the betting. Now, obviously, it looked like the punters had gotten it right, but Leicester ended up winning. Brighton are actually in real trouble now all of a sudden.
I've got this real bee in my bonnet about Brighton, though. There's somehow, I don't know where it's come from. There's this narrative also that Brighton are somehow the unluckiest team in the Premier League. And it stems from the fact that
XG.
yeah, it's this expected goals measure, and they've got the least goals compared to their expected goals of any other team in the Premier League. But what we know with expected goals is essentially if you have a chance and the ball's on the goal line, that's basically a 1 expected goals because it's like you're probably not going to miss that. Like it's unlikely. No, trust me, I could probably do it. But this idea that they're somehow unlucky, when in reality the measure is how many good chances they've had compared to how many goals they've scored. Now, if you ask me, there's nothing unlucky about creating a lot of chances and not scoring many. It's a fault in your forward players to have not taken those chances. So,
well, Brighton were favourites against Leicester at effectively a neutral venue, right? So that must be entirely XG based, and I just found it strange. I know Leicester have had a few issues going into the game, but effectively their main players were playing, and they ended up winning the game. Now Arsenal
one of the teams I wanted to shout out though was Fulham, because it was a few weeks ago we were talking about who potentially might be the next manager to leave, and we thought Parker was a bit of an outside shot in case Fulham were trying to get that new manager bounce and get a bit of a run. And to be fair to them, since then they've been brilliant. They've obviously picked up points. They obviously got a massive win at Liverpool, and the market now reflects that term with Newcastle now evens to go down, and Fulham now 13-8. So the market seems to think that the tide has turned in Scott Parker's team's favour, and they've really ground out those results. So
I like Parker as well. I have to say, like, he carries himself well, and nobody was giving them much of a chance.
Not sure about that jacket that he had on at the weekend, though.
Yeah, Flynn was a fan. I don't know. I'm willing to.
It doesn't surprise me that Flynn was a fan, though.
He's very he's only a kid, Flynn, as well. He likes the modern fashion. I can't even remember what that is anymore. I haven't bought clothes in about 2 years at this stage. Arteta likes to dress well as well. He takes on Mourinho. This is interesting because Gareth Bale's resurgence is something that I didn't really forecast. Arsenal have been kind of going along okay. This is the North London Derby, 4:30. We'll discuss this briefly on Manchester United West Ham, and we'll finish up with the Trader Challenge. How do you call the Spurs Arsenal game? Is a difficult one to call.
Yeah, I think these games were always a difficult one to call. I think the North London derbies, I think they're actually two quite evenly matched sides now. I think
as reflected in the betting.
Yeah, and I think there was a period where obviously there was a period where Arsenal were the better side, and then there was a brief period where Spurs were the better side. But I do think that gap between them is narrowing. I think obviously Spurs are in slightly better form at the minute, and like you say, Gareth Bale's re-emergence. I think he's got 6 goals in his last 6 appearances in all competitions. And that
amazing, really, yeah.
Yeah, that front trio starting to come together a bit. Son, Kane, Bale starting to link up and provide goals for each other. And Tottenham fans will be excited by that prospect of having them for the rest of the season, but potentially even longer. Could they sign Bale on a permanent? Has he done enough to warrant it? Will he take a wage cut to come back to Spurs? Who knows? But I think he's 20-10 to score any time. And
you're looking at a bit of 3-1 for the draw as well. You're looking at last year's game was 2-2. I think a score draw could be the way to go on this. 3-1 for the draw on both teams to score.
Yeah, I think score draw is a good result. Yeah, I think we've complimented Arsenal defensively in the last few weeks, but actually they've conceded. They've only kept 2 clean sheets in the last 11 games now. So it's actually something that has kind of tailed off as the season's gone on. And obviously Spurs battered Palace at the weekend. That was the last one in that game was their 100th goal in all competitions this season, which is a number only surpassed by Bayern Munich in Europe's top 5 league. So not bad for a team that parked the bus, or so they say. And I think, there will be goals in this one. Like I say, Bale has scored more goals against Arsenal than any other Premier League team. He's 23-10 score any time. Harry Kane always scores in the North London derby. No one scored more North London derby goals than Harry Kane. So he's 11-8 score anytime. But the one I fancy there, I think 4-1 score first. Might be a set piece. Might be Son or Bale putting it on a plate for him. But I think 4-1 for Harry Kane to score first. And yeah, like you say, the score draw, both teams to score, and the draw 3-1, I think is probably the way I'd be going in this one.
That's a fair shout. And current form as well. Wolves 31-10 against Liverpool. Can't really look beyond that. Just couldn't back Liverpool with any confidence. But the other game we're going to talk about, Manchester United, West Ham United. And David Moyes actually said he was a bit disappointed with West Ham's performance after they pretty much dismantled Leeds. And it's a measure of how well they've done. They're only 16-5 to win at Old Trafford, which I wouldn't put beyond them at all. Of course, they met quite recently at Old Trafford. This one is interesting as well.
Yeah, very interesting. It's not a game that you'd have looked at the start of the season and said, oh, in March, that'll be an interesting game towards the top four. But it's just...
Well, West Ham were 40s to finish the top four. They're now short of 7-2.
40s at the start of the season to finish in the top short now, 7-2, like you say. I think it's just a testament to what a great job David Moyes has done this season. I think, particularly against Leeds, they were so threatening from set pieces. Apart from penalties, no Premier League team has scored more goals from set piece situations than West Ham this season. And they were a real threat all night. My only worry is David Moyes has never won a Premier League game as an opposition manager at Old Trafford, and he didn't win very many at Old Trafford as Manchester United manager either. So his record there is not great.
He cut the man some slack.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but if ever there was a time for West Ham to go there and get a result, you think this would be it. But
you're looking at 4-1 they score in both halves.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting prize. 4-1 they score in both halves. They were threatening for 90 minutes against Leeds, and I think particularly when you're dangerous from set pieces, there's a chance that you can score at any point. The one I've picked out is Craig Dawson. It's 17-2, so a bit of a bigger one to score
set pieces.
But he's already got 3 Premier League goals in 12 Premier League games this season. So not a bad strike rate. He's always been dangerous from set pieces. His next Bolton loanee was dangerous from set pieces even then. I think Dawson he's been on the winning side in 67% of his Premier League appearances for West Ham. He's won 8 out of 12 games. And Aaron Cresswell as well, his delivery. He's got more assists than any other left back in the Premier League this season. So
I was a kid watching. I was a kid watching fantasy football and Stato Angus Locker in the corner. Back as a kid, you won't even remember him, but you are the modern day Stato. The modern day Stato even got an obligatory Bolton reference in yet another victory for the mighty Wanderers the other night and set up very nicely. It's unbelievable. Let's finish off with the Trader Challenge, because we obviously have a Cheltenham Trader Challenge, which you've got to check out on the website, as well as the fact that we have the Cheltenham 2021 preview videos up there now. But to beat the Trader this week on the football front.
Yeah, again, we've got 6 matches for you to take your pick from this week. Our traders will be giving their predictions for the games later on in the week. So if you give us yours, anyone who beats the traders' predictions bags himself a £10 free bet, and the best selection will win themselves a £200 free bet. I also wanted to talk about the Cheltenham one. It's yes or no questions, 10 yes or no questions for the chance to win a £500 free bet, as well as loads of other free bets along the way. Obviously, we've got, I think, 6 days till Cheltenham. It starts next Tuesday. So, and look out for your man Johnny Ward on Star Sports Live preview night on Wednesday night. That'll be up on YouTube as well in the aftermath alongside David Pipe, Davy Russell, and Bill Esdale, I believe.
And the boy Tar. What more do you want?
Sounds like you're in for a top evening. Make sure you put a bit more effort into your hair and makeup than you do on this show, please.
That's beautiful. We'll all be tarred with the same brush, so to speak.
Oh.
Thanks very much. You like that one, did you?
By the way, can we end this now, please?
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. That was a very interesting renewal of the two-man wall. Lots of interesting football coming ahead, and do enjoy Cheltenham. But we will be talking to you next week on the two-man wall.